pretty pictures, and sounds a lot worse than I wanted it to.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But here we are. So here we go.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm back. Yo, I'm black and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, because I'm black.
Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
I know. I just realized Marcus isn't here.
You were checking it. It's fine. How are you all feeling? It's a great Monday. Hopefully, everybody has sort of shaken off their Super Bowl food coma that they may have put themselves into. I also want to acknowledge the hilarity that is the intro song was very, I'm blackety black and I'm black, y'all. And then the two whitest people on the face of the planet came up on the screen like immediately after. And so here we are. We are going to talk a little Super Bowl movie trailers that got announced yesterday. And then we're also going to talk a little Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So spoiler warning if you have not finished that yet. It's been over for a little while, so hopefully you've gotten to it. But if you can't and haven't, here's your warning. Brian, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, tell people how they can stay in touch with us.
Hey, folks, I'm here to tell you that the best way to support us is to go sign up for our Patreon. You can do that by going to patreon.com/filmsinblackandwhite. Sign up for one of our heats, one of our tiers. That is how we make this entire show happen. Our Patty family is the people that make this show happen. We give them a shout out. People in the chat, I see 11 years of friendship in the chat, ready to talk about Wicked. So you're in the chat. We love that. We love that energy. So go check us out, patreon.com/filmsinblackandwhite. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at those same handles. We update our Instagram more often than not with our reels and stories and posts. That's where everybody seems to be nowadays. And again, spoiler alert, for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, spoiler alert for literally anything in the Super Bowl. Like, I don't think many people don't know what happened, but like anything that happened, like any music announcements, any trailers, we're diving into all of it.
We're going to talk about a lot of it. So strap in, certainly strap in. So we're going to get after that. I would like to point out that Roman this week, he's 11 years of friendship because Facebook told us that we had been Facebook friends.
Oh, that's nice.
For 11 years. And he wanted me to bring it up. And I was like, that seems a little niche. But here we are, but we're excited about it. We're excited. Thank you for 11 years of bliss, Roman. Bliss. So, because that's what I'm going with. Brian, how are you feeling, sir? Mr. Turn Down for What apologist. How you doing?
I'm feeling energized after that Usher performance. I may have scared my children a little bit when Usher started his performance, and I was feeling it. Like I was building up to like they're probably gonna finish with but like, then like I later learned it was Jermaine Dupri, but that's like when the show started to turn. You got like, you got Burn, you got Confessions, like it's really starting to build. And then the moment they had Turned Down for What, like my elbows were flying and my kids were like, what is happening? What is dad doing? Like, am I going to like get socked in the face by an elbow? Why is dad hooting and hollering? And folks, I was in the zone, colloquially known. I was feeling it. And then when I saw Lil Jon, I was like, it's good to see you, brother. It's been a while. Welcome home. Welcome home, Lil Jon. Let's turn down for what? And
I appreciate that. My highlight was when he did the only song I wanted him to do was Let It Burn. So when he did Let It Burn, I was very excited. I will say that Confessions album, I was looking at it today because I listened to Let It Burn today. Because it was in my DNA.
Of course.
That was a banger. Like that one was a hit.
It's untouchable.
Yeah, really. Confessions Part 1, Confessions Part 2, Let It Burn, and then there was another big hit like right after that. So like
Oh
that
my
was
I
like
mean,
the
yeah.
pinnacle of like
Yeah.
his discography. So shout out to Usher for a great performance.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about it, but, like, yeah,
Yeah.
I was turning down for what in my living room
Turn down
scaring
for
my children.
turn down for everything. Brian, what was your food situation? Any highlights from the spread yesterday you want to
No,
tell everybody about?
we didn't go all out. We didn't, like, we just we had a lot of stuff going on. We didn't have a big party plan, so we did popcorn shrimp, we did some finger food, something
Nice.
easy to do. We had and then we did, some baked potatoes, and some
Nice.
broccoli just to make ourselves feel healthy a little bit. But honestly, that was it. I did get some Doritos, Flamin' Lyman, chips for myself.
All right.
Were delectable.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that.
How about yourself, Doug?
Good weekend. Good weekend. I am Achilles tendon because the
Yeah,
highlight
tell
of
me.
my Super Bowl watching experience was when the member of the 49ers snapped his Achilles tendon just cheering on his teammates. Like
Yeah.
that to me was
Eh,
like the rest of the game for me was all downhill because that was
ah,
so funny to me because it's not like he fell or like somebody ran into him. He literally like jumped up and down and then
yeah,
went, "Oh no!" Like and like just
yeah.
and I can hear Marcus right now. He's not here right now, everybody. He'll be here a little bit later.
He's a busy
I could
man.
I could hear him saying right now, "Oh, that's fucked up." And you're right, it is.
It
It is.
is. I
It
mean,
is messed up that I am that excited about this man like having a severe
it
injury, a very painful injury, mind you, but
it
it's just
but
my jam.
it was so out of the blue, and when I saw they replayed it, and I was so confused because I was like, "Why are we seeing a replay of a guy on the sideline?" And then I saw them bringing out the cart, and my son Liam was like, "Dad, are they bringing out the cart for him?" And I'm like, "I guess." Like, I
Yeah.
thought something else happened to him earlier in the game.
No, he it was that moment, and I kept bringing it up because Marcus came over and watched the game with the
Of
kids and
course.
Brittany and I, and I kept bringing it up the whole game, like, especially when they got to, like, that 4th quarter and the Chiefs were making the drive and
Yeah.
they tied it up, and I
Oh
went,
my
"Can you
gosh.
imagine? This guy snapped his fucking Achilles, and they are gonna
Yeah.
lose this game." Like,
Yeah.
he's gonna feel terrible.
I
Um,
mean,
yeah.
I don't even
Yeah.
know yeah, Roman in the chat here saying worked that whole season just for that to happen on live TV.
Mhm.
I
Accurate.
agree. Something happened to me when I turned 35, by the way. Like my risk assessment like totally changed. Like I don't
Mhm.
like taking left turns. So I know like for younger people, like what this guy probably is, he's in his 20s. Who cares? Fling your body wherever. Go play professional football. Who knows? You might just snap your Achilles just celebrating somebody. They just, some people that's just not in my risk calculation. It's like, no, not gonna jump on my foot like that. I don't want to do that to my Achilles. I don't wanna
Brian, are you taking the Zoolander approach to life? Like you're just not like I'm not turning left and that's just something you're comfortable with?
I went on a guy's road trip a few months ago and we were having this
Okay.
discussion because most of us are fathers now. And it's like, yeah, these weird things happen where like, hey, like if XYZ happens, like my family's down a father. Like we started, it's kind of nihilistic, but like just kind of the weird things you start doing.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned
Yeah.
like, hey, when I'm in a parking lot, I never go in the middle anymore. Or like, hey, when I do XYZ, like I never, and so I was like, yeah, I don't like left turns. Like I don't like left turns without a stoplight. So yeah, I am taking the Zoolander approach when I go get my groceries. Is
Okay.
it shorter distance for me to
Absolutely not.
take the left turn onto oncoming traffic with no
Mhm.
stoplight? It sure is, but I could take 3 right turns with a stoplight and be totally, totally good.
We have entered a whole other domain. Like I could
Yes.
spend I
Yes.
almost want to throw out the rest of the podcast and I want to talk about dad superstition because this is
I
Brian, I don't have this. Like I don't want to say that like I am unafraid, but I have like sort of taken this approach that it's like, hey, if I'm supposed to go, I'm supposed to go. Like
I
it's just
mean,
like so and I regularly take weight from the floor and just throw it up over
look,
my head. And so there's
yeah.
so for me, I'm like, no man, left turns, fuck it. If he's right there, I'm the
Yeah.
type of person that's a left turn or like that type of situation, and I'll
Yeah.
say out loud, "Could have made that twice." Like, I'm
Yep.
just like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
just
why I
who I
don't
am.
that's why see, you're the person I imagine behind me being like, "Oh, this person's so ticked off,
I
like,
am the person.
I
I am the
coulda
person
gone."
behind you. Yep.
Yeah, but, no, it's, like, weird it is weird superstition stuff. It is not
It's so
rooted,
funny. No,
but
it's
yeah.
just those weird things. I get it. Like, I get it. I'm sure if I unpack this, there's something in there, but like that's very funny to me. The other thing that I did this weekend is I was able to take Harper to a daddy-daughter dance this weekend.
Oh,
So
how was
they
that?
had a daughter, they called it daughter parent, but it was mostly
Okay.
dads. There were a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
moms there, but like
Yeah.
they called it daughter parent, which I really appreciated, like that inclusive
Yeah.
approach of
I
it, which
like
is kind of
that.
cool.
I like
Um
that.
it was fine. It was fun. Harper had a
Okay.
lot of fun. We both got dressed up. We both went, so it was a
Cool.
lot of fun. Made it kind of like a special thing for her. Um, Couple of observations
Okay, what's
from
that?
the dance. First, um, my daughter told me midway that I should go I should stay here because I'm not good at dancing. And
Yikes,
so just
Doug.
then proceeded to walk
Wow.
out and like shake her groove
Well,
thing herself.
you're in your
Also,
premium dad era now. I mean, that's
I am, I guess
do you
so.
have the white Reeboks and I mean the
I
long tube
don't.
socks?
I
Okay, I
don't.
mean, that's all that's
But
left at this
it
point.
does bring me to my next point, which
Oh,
is,
yeah?
do you ever have these moments, Brian, where you look out on like a sea of dads and you go, "Man, thank God I don't look like one of these guys." And then you kind of reflect back and you're like, "I might look like one of these guys." Like there was a gentleman there who was wearing was his outfit for this dad-daughter
Okay.
extravaganza. He was wearing blue jeans, a white undershirt, and a beige cowboy hat,
Yeah,
and a
baby.
belt buckle that was huge and silver. And
Yeah,
I had
baby.
this thought where I was like, what is happening?
It's a
What
bit, right? You're like that's what's going through
this
your
has
mind.
got to be a bit. Like he's
Right.
doing a bit. Like he's
Right.
doing a like Walker Texas Ranger bit. Like I couldn't even
Clearly.
come up with the bit that he was doing.
Yeah.
But I was a little flabbergasted at the bit that was happening there.
Yeah,
So,
I saw a lot of photos of that, like, on social media. I'm seeing
uh-huh.
that in the chat where these happening all over the place. I guess, I mean
Here's my theory. I think it is so close to Valentine's Day
yeah.
that there's probably some research or someone who was looking into it that was like, you know what? Like show your daughter like a good time, like teach her how to be
Yeah,
like feel taken care of. Like, something like that, how
sure,
we,
sure.
push our societal norms on small children.
Oh, yeah, yes, and that's
It's
ugh.
important for their development.
Oh gosh. Hate it. I hate it.
Barf. But it was fun. It was fun. It was fun. She had fun.
Good.
And that's all that matters is that she had
Yeah,
fun.
that
It
is
was
all that
fun.
matters.
They did a good job putting it on. It was a fundraiser. So all in all,
Oh,
it was a good
good.
time. So yeah, I was
Yeah.
glad I was able to go, and I'm glad I was able to take her because it was a lot of fun.
Oh,
But
good.
Brian, we could go on and
Yes.
on about
Many
dad
things.
outfits or ripped tendons, but we need to play a fun game that we like to call
Oh,
Catch
man.
That Quotable.
Marcus isn't here. We can't butterscotch soda our way out of this, man.
Catch that
Silky
quotable.
sounds of Doug Wagner.
That's there we go. I like it. See, we got this. We're all right.
We got it.
Brian,
Yes?
are you ready for this week's quote?
Hit me.
Hey. Use small children as shields. Bears like soft, tender meat.
I don't know what this is.
Use small children as shields. Bears like soft, tender meat. I have nothing. I
I don't
don't know what
know.
this is. I'm not sure what this is.
I
I
mean,
mean,
like
I mean, it feels like this is a movie. I feels like a comedy. Like obviously this is a funny moment.
yeah.
So what moment is there a comedy? Is there like a camping movie, or
I
is
mean,
there a the only movie that I can think of is The Great Outdoors with Dan Aykroyd and
okay.
oh geez, I'm John Candy. Because
Okay.
there's a moment with bears there are children present. I could see somebody saying that in this type of scenario, but that's
Yeah.
all that I have to go off of.
It does
Is this
kind of
one.
have a Bill Murray vibe to
It
it.
does.
I will also say I haven't seen it, but I am gonna put out Cocaine Bear.
That's fair. He
Because
has
that
Roman's been
movie
recent.
looked, I mean, the movie looked wild, like a comedy. So I don't know, bear comedy, children as meat shields. I don't know. That it's just speaking to me right now.
Yeah, yeah. I would also believe that.
Okay,
All right, so you've got Cocaine Bear. I'm gonna go with the Great Outdoors.
let's do it.
Marcus would have maybe butterscotch soda this. I don't know.
I mean,
but
maybe. I don't know though.
maybe. Oh, this is not. This is we were both wrong. So
Excellent.
this is a comedy. It is a
Okay.
Will Ferrell comedy. This is the
Oh no.
2008 movie Semi-Pro, where he owns a basketball league. And he's
Oh,
the
and
one who said it.
that's the one where didn't they have a stunt coordinator pass away during the
Oh
filming
my
of that
god,
movie?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Let me
I'm
look it
pretty
up.
sure.
Let me look it up. If that's true, that's wild. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's insane.
Yep. He did a grizzly bear, which appeared in a recent Will Ferrell movie, killed a 39-year-old trainer with a bite to the neck.
Oh,
Yep.
oh my god.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
I don't know if we're gonna recover from this, guys. Like that was
I don't know how I'm gonna financially
that's,
recover.
Ooh, we're gonna have away.
Yeah. So
Jesus, I did not
thoughts,
know that, Brian.
thoughts and prayers to that trainer. Yeah, I remember when it came out, that was like all people could talk about because like it was supposed to be like the next Will Ferrell
It was supposed to
joint.
be well, that was his like he said right after Talladega Nights, right
Right.
after Ricky Bobby, he said, I'm gonna do these. And
Yeah.
so it was this one, it was Blades of Glory, the ice
That's
skating
right.
one, and then the
Yeah.
other one was this one was Semi-Pro. And so
Yeah.
you're right though, like everybody looked at this one and went like, oh my god, this is gonna be the next like huge
Yup.
Talladega Nights, and then
Yeah,
it's
pretty
like,
much.
ooh, not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there we
Yeah.
go. Yep. And then
It's
yes, and then to have a bear terrorize the entire crowd of people in a movie.
yeah.
Eesh. That's some rough stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we didn't get it, so we'll try again next week and we'll see where it's at.
Yep.
I wonder if Marcus would have gotten it when he
Yeah,
shows
I guess
up.
we'll find out. Yeah.
When he shows up,
At
we
some
will
point.
we'll just go ahead and ask him, and that's just
Yeah.
the way it'll be. So we'll go from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian,
Hello.
anything that you want to talk about before we jump into Super Bowl trailers? Yeah.
No, I'm mainly here for the Super Bowl trailers.
Okay.
I do feel like I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I am heavily attached. So we're going into Super Bowl talk at this point. The meme of Travis Kelce yelling at a stone-faced Andy Reid is giving me joy, and I have gotten so much out of that image. I have it downloaded on my phone, ready to go at any point in time. And it makes me laugh that like
Okay.
it makes me laugh that like in the post interviews and like the post game stuff, they're like, oh, and they're kind of like shrugging it off. And I'm like, man, like you're at the Super Bowl and you just shoved your coach. You just started like yelling at him.
You fucking went for it. Like you
Like,
went for it. Like you were like
dude.
you were that amped up that you were just you didn't see who you were yelling at, but you were yelling at somebody.
I mean, yeah,
Yeesh.
like
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's probably going to talk about it on the podcast, on his podcast and all that good stuff. But man, watching that in real time and then having to explain to like some little eyes of being like, Dad, why did that man yell at the old man? And it's like, okay, well, first off, that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't yell at your coach. First off, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
But then they were like, is he okay? Is the old man okay? So they got very invested in the sideline drama, but not the actual game, which was amazing because they went to bed and then the game got like so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the game got really good towards the end there. It was a little
like-
rough there for the first half, but that last quarter and the overtime were really exciting.
It reminded me of that Falcons Patriots game a little bit.
You mean the one where they blew it?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, just nothing really happens until the third quarter, and then you're
And
like,
then it just pops off.
they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. Like,
Mhm.
I was rooting for the 49ers because they were technically the underdog here, but like as soon as fourth quarter rolled around, I was like, they got it. Like the Chiefs have this.
Yeah, Marcus and I were talking about it, and we essentially said that like you can't. Patrick Mahomes is just such a put the ball in my hand, I'm gonna make stuff happen. That when he ripped off that like 13-yard run, like right before the touchdown, I was like, this is it. This game is over. Like,
that's what I was thinking too.
They're gonna kick a field goal. They're gonna do something, and this game is gonna end. Like, so I was not surprised by that outcome.
I mean, honestly, as soon as he did the QB sneak, if that's even what you want to call it, but he ran for 15 and then he did it again. That's all it took for the 49ers defense to be like, don't know what to do here. Yeah, pretty much. But which, by the way, both teams played an amazing game.
They played great. Like, yeah, they shouldn't. I mean,
like, if I was the 49ers defense, I'm tired. I'm tired today. Like, I'm not moving.
You know what's really funny, Brian?
What?
Is that I read something in ESPN that a quote from one of like the bench defensive players for the 49ers. They said that they didn't know the rules of overtime. And I went,
okay, yeah.
So maybe keep that one to yourself.
I started reading a piece, I believe it was from The Athletic. Don't quote me, but I believe it was. And essentially, okay, Marcus may. Okay. That's the Rock's music. He's running down the ramp. That's a tear in his
my God! The Rock is here. We can't hear you. He's muted.
He's got to unmute.
You ruined it.
I'm here, you jabronis.
I guarantee.
I'm here.
The millions and millions
and millions.
That's it. That's it. That was special. We were just talking about the game.
The guy that Doug was making fun of that got fucked up at the game.
Well, we did talk about that.
I did. I said,
Brian was fucked up, Brian.
Brian,
it is a little messed up.
Brian asked to start the show, Doug, Achilles tendon. Are you okay? Do you have an Achilles injury? I said, no, I'm making fun of the man who snapped his Achilles cheering for his teammates.
Fucked up. It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. I mean, you laughed about it. My bad. Sorry, go ahead.
Get better.
Marcus, I'm going to give you the quote. Let's start this. Marcus, aka Bitch Slap. How you feeling, sir?
Whoa.
What the 5 fingers say to the face?
Slap.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I'm good. I'm here live and in living color. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm late. We had a Black History Month photo shoot for our Black History Month game that we have coming up. So
I believe it would be illegal for us to give you a hard time
this month.
That.
Absolutely. On March 1st, though.
You
do whatever you want.
Yeah,
March 1st.
We can't make fun of women, but at that point,
and Black women, intersectionality.
Right.
There's a whole thing. About
I'm writing all of these down. So come March 1st, 12:01.
You got it saved up. You got to watch Doug because he'll put some shit in the chat GPT quick as hell.
I will do that. Marcus, I'm going to give you the quote.
Okay,
I'm going to give you the quote to see if you know it.
All right.
And if you do, we win. But if we don't, that's okay. Neither Brian or I got it, so no pressure.
Feel as much pressure.
Don't feel any pressure.
Temu.
That's the big reveal is that it's Temu and not Timu.
Not Timu. And they had 3 commercials.
Jesus Christ. Marcus, use small children as shields. Bears like soft, tender meat.
Oh God. Okay.
Can you
read it one more time? Yeah.
I'll read it one more time. Use small children as shields. Bears like soft, tender meat.
I'm assuming it's not Cocaine Bear.
It is not. That was Brian's guess.
Was that Brian's guess?
That was my guess.
Yeah, I was the same thing. I feel like, do I get a hint?
It's a comedy.
Oh no. The only I'm not gonna hold this up. The only thing I can think of is Without a Paddle.
Oh, yep.
Also a good one.
Was that, also a good guess. It's the movie Semi-Pro. with Will
Shit.
Ferrell.
Yeah.
Also, Brian revealed shortly after that one
Oh,
of the
jeez.
bear handlers was mauled to death by a bear on the set of that movie.
And they still
So
read that line out loud?
they still said that line out loud.
Man, all right. Well, that's fucked up. But
That's that is
Alright.
absolutely fucked
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Thanks,
Before
man.
we jump into trailers, I do want
Sorry,
to
I cut y'all off from whatever
No,
you
you're
already
good.
talking
Oh,
about.
You're good.
no, we were
This is fine.
doing very terrible football analysis
We were
from
doing
the
very
pop
terrible
culture
football.
film
Yep. Mhm.
bros. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, take it for what it's worth.
Before we jump into trailers, though, I did have like one little piece of news that I wanted to touch on.
For sure.
And it's
Okay.
regarding Mark Ruffalo. So
I know him. Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo came out and said that Kevin Feige told him that he was never going to get his own solo movie as the Hulk. And that quote, he would be able to do that over 4 movies. So this is according to an article on Variety.
Okay.
Kevin Feige asked him, what would you do if you had a standalone Hulk film? And Mark Ruffalo said, I'd like to take him from his raging maniac to his integrated character, show how they got blended.
Yeah.
And Feige said, quote, okay, we'll do that over the course of 4 movies and we'll never give you a standalone Hulk movie. End quote.
How long ago was that though?
This is from press that they were doing back in June 2023.
This
Okay.
had to have changed since they got the rights to the Hulk. Like that has to have changed.
It
right?
may have.
I mean, I am curious. It's also funny to me because today, so to piggyback off of this, today,
Mhm.
Mark Ruffalo clarified he is not in Captain America Brave New World.
Uh-huh.
And he misspoke.
That feels like a
So
It also feels like a lie.
I mean, so that's the other thing is that he has accidentally spoiled endings before.
He has.
In 2017 for a Good Morning America interview, he accidentally he spoiled it. They didn't get into details, but he spoiled Infinity War. So I guess that's why they don't pair him with Tom Holland.
No, they don't pair well together. They have to be very careful.
So, but yeah, I mean, I agree, Marcus. I think it has something to do with the rights. I'm also curious if after this year, like after the box office, the way it was and the vibe Marvel has, I really feel like they are going to close ranks and it's going to be a lot of stuff we've already seen, but it's going to hit a lot of high points. And I feel like they're like, nope, we're not even taking a risk on a Hulk movie. It's just we're closing ranks and giving the people what they want.
I honestly, if the more I think about it, the more my main question is, what Hulk? Can you really take the Hulk in the direction that they gave him and give him a solo movie? And I don't think so.
I mean,
everything we've seen him in has been paired with somebody else.
Well, and he's a great foil. I think there's a good reason for that. He's a great foil to a lot of characters, but I do feel like to have a fun Hulk movie, you would have to I don't know. He's like homeless and he doesn't want to reach out because he's embarrassed to be homeless. And he's like, just, kind of like the TV show.
Yeah.
Like it'd have to be like a bottle type situation. Because there's just so much interconnectedness now. I just don't know how you do that development.
And you can't go into his backstory. Like you can't go into the comic book backstory of why Hulk exists as a extension of Bruce Banner, which was
right.
He developed that to protect himself from the abuse of his dad. Like you can't go that route and still keep it Disney and keep it fun. So you kind of have to say okay, the only thing we could do is Hulk off world, but we kind of already did that with Thor Ragnarok. So there's sort of we don't need to.
God, we're never going to get a God. That is so sad.
Probably not.
That's so sad. Because after Mark is done, and he's done a good job, so this is nothing.
Oh yeah, he's done a good job. I've loved him.
It's just the way that they wrote the character. I just know it'll take forever before we ever get a Marvel. The MCU will have to reboot itself again before we ever get another Hulk anything.
I mean, unless you do a Red Hulk, Green Hulk in Secret Wars, but I mean, that would be the only way it shows
that's
up.
that's a likely scenario, right? 2026, 2027, they might recast and do a Hulk series.
Because it's not solo. Movie. You know what I mean? And you could do a Deadpool and the Hulk. Like if you really want to send Deadpool on this run where he's pairing up with your
random
favorite
dudes.
heroes. Yeah, random.
I do. That makes actually a ton of sense. And Marcus, I think we got to call this date February 12th, 2024. That movie is gonna come.
Yeah.
It's definitely Deadpool versus Hulk or something in that nature.
Because Ryan Reynolds is silly enough, and so is Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he played a great straight man in
Mhm.
Thor Ragnarok. I mean, he's just showing up being like, "What are you doing?" And
Mhm.
that's when Thor is like really going through it, and he's just like, "I don't know, I'm being silly."
Mhm.
So I could
that
see
was
it very
exactly it.
easily.
That's exactly how that was. That's how Chris Hemsworth sounds. I was
No,
like,
no,
is
Brian,
that
Brian,
Chris Hemsworth on the
Brian.
screen right now?
Brian, I was not making fun of you. I was saying that's how I
might have been.
took him on. No, might have been. Don't do this.
I
Let me
can't
tell
do
y'all.
a Chris Hemsworth impression.
Let me
So
tell you
yeah,
about Doug. Let me tell you about Doug. Doug has been
Tell
on
me about him.
Rampage for the past 2 weeks. The entire game, Brian, Doug was on that man's ass the entire game about
Really?
tearing his Achilles. Oh,
I brought it up
he
every
did
5
not let
minutes.
it go. And when they
Wow.
lost, he said, "You know what's the most fucked up part? That guy lost with a pop the key by not playing in the game. It was the most fucked up shit. It was so fucked. This dude is
I
crazy.
mean, Doug does tend to fixate on things, so
does.
I do
No,
He
no, that doesn't sound
get that.
right.
Rocket Fire.
Oh, I will
animatronic.
also say this. Okay, so really quick before we pivot into trailers.
Brian.
Yeah.
So Rockafire Explosion, I didn't
Yes.
expect anybody to like follow up with that.
Okay.
But I was messaging somebody who I used to work with in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay.
Shout out to Zach. And I sent him like a recipe for something that I cooked. He's like, "Hey, that looks really good. Can you send it?" I sent it to him. He goes, "Hey, thanks for sending this." He goes, "And I've been watching all of the Rockafire Explosion videos because of you." And I went, "You're welcome for the recipe. Sorry for the curse." Like it, like, and so
I can't believe this.
if anything, I feel encouraged to
Yeah.
be this version of myself.
We love,
love
it.
it.
I'm just letting you know.
I can't get enough of it.
Is that a song or just a phrase?
It's a phrase I say.
Sounds like an Usher lyric.
I was like, it sounds like an
Is
Usher lyric.
it? I mean, I don't think
Sounds
so.
like no, I don't think it is.
Find
I don't
out
think it
real
is either.
fast.
But anyway,
Sounded sexy.
Hire me, Usher.
but gentlemen, one of the could you imagine that tour?
That
Brian
would be
and
the
Usher.
best tour.
I want Brian to do all of Usher's
mean
residency with
The
him.
guy who is as smooth as butter, and then I come out and it's like, "Hey, gee, golly willikers, everybody! Sure is great to
No.
see you."
Feeling
You know-
fired up.
You know how I see this going? I feel like Usher will be Usher because we know Usher, right?
We do,
But then you'll fuck
personally.
around and Brian will be the smooth. Because don't forget, y'all. Don't forget. Brian got 3 kids and a beautiful wife and a happy wife. So don't be fooled by all this reading books and all this other stuff, this infinite knowledge. Brian gonna come out there and be the smoothest motherfucker out there. And we're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Who the hell is this?
Oh, it's gonna
This
be
is Brian, man.
He'll be like, Maggie's gonna be like, that's why I fell in love with him. Like right there. I
That's-
can see it
that's it.
happening. I can see it.
You know what? That sounds a lot more. That
That's
sounds
it.
plausible.
You know what I mean?
That sounds plausible.
It's the plot. The plot is too simple for him to just be this Clark Kent guy. He's gonna take them glasses off. It's gonna be yeah. He's gonna fly right into it. He's gonna fly right in.
Even
Is that a
Peter
mirror
Parker
in
has
your
an alter
pants?
ego.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you
it.
know,
You think Peter Parker was pulling Black Widow and MJ and all these other like, you know what I mean? No.
Black Cat and MJ somehow simultaneously
Yeah.
at some point in
Yeah.
time.
Greatest mystery in comics.
That boy was a
How
freak.
Peter pulls MJ and Black Cat.
No
I'll
idea.
never understand it.
No
So
idea.
bad.
Um,
Wish it was
gentlemen,
me.
we have so speaking of Usher and speaking of the Super Bowl, there were some announcements yesterday.
Yeah, there was a
in the
few.
movie theater realm. I am going
right.
to do a quick rundown of all of the trailers that we saw. And there's a couple obviously we'll spend a little bit more time on, but I wanted to definitely kind of run these down. So A Quiet Place Day 1,
Yep.
Knuckles,
Mm.
Kung Fu Panda 4, Despicable Me 4, Wicked Part 1, Deadpool and Wolverine, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Twisters, The Fall Guy, If, Monkey Man, and Inside Out 2. So I mean, without talking about, let's put a pin in Deadpool and Wolverine, because I think we'll want to talk about that one sort of at length. Of these other ones that came out, any of these sort of jump out and stand out in terms of trailers that we were particularly excited about?
I think Monkey Man is one because I had pretty much seen the rest of those trailers except for
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes. I love the Planet of the Apes series, so that's one. But Monkey Man stood out more so because of how it got to become a movie. So like it was supposed to be just like dumped on Netflix. Then Jordan Peele loved it so much that he got behind it and like produced it. One of the producer credit bought it to the big screen. So to see that movie get like bought to the Super Bowl during like a Super Bowl slot, I thought was fire.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Monkey Man probably stands out the most to me, just style wise. Like, because you look at these other ones and like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, it's a very known quantity. It looked fine. Like my kids were into it, but like you look at you look at Monkey Man and that thing that broke up the visual style of like I might be being hyperbolic, but like it's a completely different visual style than the Super Bowl and a lot of the other trailers. Like Twisters was probably the most traditional trailer I saw last night, which makes sense because the people who watch Twister are in their 30s, like me.
Yeah. Hi.
So I get it. But no, it stood out. It stood out the most to me. I think it has. I'm not going to say it has the most unique premise, but the key players involved, it makes it really stand out.
For me, Monkey Man stood out. And for reference, Monkey Man comes out on April 5th. So we're going to get that one here pretty soon. So very soon.
Oh, okay.
The one that stood out to me, and we tend to be a little bit critical of Paramount, of Peacock and The Office, but that trailer for If, where they had Randall Park say, "I'm John Krasinski,"
that was really funny.
That was very funny. Like I laughed out loud
Yeah.
for that. And that was just incredible. I couldn't tell you the trailer. I mean, I know what the movie's about, but I couldn't tell you the trailer beyond that moment because it was just genuinely a very, very funny moment.
No,
I enjoyed that.
Big year for Ryan Reynolds. He's gonna have Deadpool and that movie come out in the same year.
Oh my god, yeah.
Good residuals for him.
He does this every few years though, where he'll be in like 3 movies. It felt like it happened like maybe a couple years ago with Guy, the one on Netflix that was also really good, Adam's Project, and then it was like something
Red Notice.
And Red Notice, yep. So he was in like 3 projects, and I like him.
I will say, here's the other thing I want to say. I'm gonna talk about this one before we jump into Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Wicked makes me nervous.
I want to talk about Wicked.
Which part? What about Wicked makes you nervous?
It looks like cats. Like the visuals are so like cat. It's just, it feels like it was like a big green screen and then it's just some folks singing. And I am on record. I am on record, hand on the Bible. I am on record as not being somebody who likes musicals, but I genuinely enjoy Wicked. The music is good. It's probably the musical that if somebody was like, "Hey, you got tickets to Wicked," I'd be like, "Oh, I'm excited. That'll be fun." That's the one for me.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay, I'm learning a lot about you.
So that one I really enjoyed. When I saw it on the stage in Chicago, actually.
Wow.
And so
this motherfucker, what?
And
right?
so
Out of nowhere.
So when I saw all the visuals, I was like, yeah, this looks really cool. But I kept having those fucking the cat visuals come back in my head. And it just kind of made me a little uneasy. So that's just my first knee-jerk reaction.
This is the same dude that has not seen A Quiet Place Part 1 or Part 2, by the way.
Or any of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movies.
Or any of the Kingdom of the Planet. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yep. Brian doesn't know what to say.
All right.
I mean, look, Planet of the Apes is actually probably one of the best the best long-running sci-fi
I would agree.
franchises. Yeah. And I say this as a Star Wars fan. Like, I dare say it has more consistency than Star Wars.
Even with a new director, by the way, because it's not Matt Reeves anymore in this next generation.
Like, and it finds a way to incorporate everything too, by the way. So like
I know I need to watch it.
You'd like that. That's your shit, but yeah.
I would like it.
I think it's a good case study in a really well-managed franchise and a really well-managed story that you want to tell multiple movies. War for the Planet of the Apes, like one of the earlier ones, is not my favorite, but like it is a through line. Even the Mark Wahlberg one has its place. and I don't really like that to
I
say
did
that.
not care for that one.
But like
That's my introduction in the Planet of the Apes.
yeah, like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like as a long running story, it's one of the ones that have done it better.
Yes, it's a good one to keep dipping the pen back into that ink for sure.
What is it? So I do understand the thing about Wicked, right? Of the,
Right.
but I also want to say, just to push back a little bit, I think of all movies, that one makes the most sense to look more
Oh,
fantastical.
yeah, 100%.
And now the thing with Cats, though, it maybe wasn't a movie. I never watched it, so I'm just going off
Neither
of it.
did
The
I.
thing that threw me off was the cats themselves, like the people, right? So that
Yeah.
being so disturbing takes away from the film, but everything else looked like it was okay enough to, like, the makeup looked good. I did not know that the Wicked Witch was oh god, I'm forgetting her name. I have to find it later.
Cynthia
Erivo.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia Erivo. A talented, super talented,
Yes, she's
and then to
incredibly
be like across from Ariana Grande, like, I think that's fire. I do understand the and it's a part one. That's the other thing.
Mhm.
It's
I
Wicked
did
part
not
one.
know it was a
Yeah.
part one.
When
by
you
the
look
way.
it up, it says Wicked part
When
one.
you said that, Marcus, I also did not know that, and you wouldn't have known that from watching the trailer because I
'Cause they didn't
rewatched
say
some of
it.
these today because they didn't. There's nothing on the title card that says
Nope.
part one.
Nope.
But it
Here's
makes
my-
sense,
Go ahead.
right? I mean, it makes sense. Like I mean, if you remember the musical, the first part is how she became the Wicked Witch. The second half is, spoiler alert for Wicked, her
Yes.
perspective from the Wizard of Oz. So like
Oh.
that's what that one's about.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah, it's both. So I could see you, like, pre-intermission, post-intermission, not feeling like you have to rush it. So I guess I get it.
I mean, the only creative choice that I was surprised about is, like, I understand Elphaba is, like, supposed to be the perkiest, blondest person you have met at school. I understand the concept. I totally get it. But I'm looking at a picture here, and, like, Ariana Grande is very Italian, and there's a reason I'm saying this. Like, she has dark hair. It's very clear she has dark hair.
Mhm.
And this movie bleached the hell out of her. And it's just
Homegirl
kind of
needs
like,
to work on her roots in his one.
I don't know. I mean, I bet it's gonna look fine. I don't know. That look just
Welcome
took
to
me back a
welcome
little
to beauty
bit.
shops with films in black and white.
Look again. I'm not one to usually talk about this. But, like,
yeah.
That's fucked up.
but
it's a
I
good
don't know. It's a choice. Ariana Grande has beautiful brown hair. Like, I don't know. Like, just go with it. I don't know. Maybe.
But we talked about this with Jessica Alba, though, right? When Fantastic Four,
exactly.
like, they bleached the shit out of her, and then it fucked up her hair. So whether it's a wig or they bleached it, or it could be CGI nowadays, you just never know. I mean, it's a good point.
True. That's
That's
true.
a very good point. Yeah.
I don't want her to get Jessica Alba. I
Me
do
neither.
feel like that is a good thing. Like, I don't
I
want
mean,
her
not without doing the work of her own dance movie ahead of time. I mean, give her a dance movie.
All
before
right,
she has
move
to do
on.
that.
Ariana Grande, honey, it makes too much
That would
sense.
It makes
too much
way
sense.
too much
It's,
sense.
it's kind of disturbing
You
that
would
we've
nail
ushered
that.
that into
That's
like
you
into
guys,
the
that's a
world.
lot.
That's disgusting how accurate
Anyway,
that is.
Wicked as a movie looks fine. I'm actually very excited for this. I'm very excited to hear Gravity. Very excited to hear
Yeah.
Popular from these two.
Oh, the music with those two is gonna be another
It's-
level. Like,
it's
it's gonna
such a thing.
be one of those things that everybody is gonna be listening
I
to.
hope they have a sing off.
Yeah. I mean, they do in the
They kind of
in the
do.
play.
Oh, nice. Good.
They kind of do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Ariana Grande is an incredible vocalist, and I haven't heard Cynthia Erivo sing as
Woo,
much,
Brian.
so I'm very very
You
excited.
might shed a tear when you listen if you just Google it whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, I might
You
need
might
to
cry. You one
might
of
need
them
to do some
ones.
homework there. I'll add it to the
one of them ones.
list.
But we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about Deadpool 3, now renamed to Deadpool and Wolverine. So
No way.
there was a little teaser that got
Just a
dropped
little.
right when the trailer got hit online, which I kind of want us to talk about that method, because it seemed like everybody was doing that, of like, drop the teaser here for 15 seconds of ad time, but tell everybody go watch. It's available online. Just Google it. And that makes sense. And Marcus brought up a great point yesterday where he was like, you can't afford a 2-minute spot because it's going to cost you $6 million. Why inflate your budget? Just tell them it's online. They're going to go watch it 1,000 times there anyway. Like,
Right.
it's going to tell you all you need to know about how interested people are in that movie via the views.
And it
I
isn't
agree.
cable anymore. So you're not really I thought about this after the fact. You're not really begging people you want people to stay on whatever streamer that you're streaming it through. So Paramount,
Right.
whatever it is. But it's not cable where people are going to sit there and have to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
I could click out of it and go to another app
Yeah.
or do something in the meantime. The attention span is just different too now. So
Well, yeah.
And think about
that's a great point.
Yeah, and think about the data. I mean,
Right.
you can't your numbers for we can't tell how many people are actually interested in Deadpool and Wolverine because there were 50 million people who are watching the Super Bowl, but we know that there were 13 million people that watched that trailer that many times. You as a studio, you can see so more.
You can track that click off too.
Yep,
right?
you can track all of it. Yep, you can track all of it.
Yeah, it's at 11 million views for one day. The number one trending on YouTube.
God
for
damn.
an entire day.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Seeing shit that you already saw, but this just makes it official. That's the thing that amazed me the most was the amount of leaks that came out from Deadpool and Wolverine, and people didn't give a damn. You know what I mean? Because obviously you're going to get some new shots. You're going to see some newer things. You're going to get a little bit more hint to what the plot is. But I mean, obviously Ryan Reynolds did a job well done.
Yeah, we'll link the trailer in the episode
team.
description if you haven't watched it already, so that way you can find it. Just go to the episode description, you can find it there. So I don't want to get too much into like what it is. Y'all can watch it for yourself to sort of talk about like what's available. But were there things that you all noticed from that trailer that made you particularly excited? Just let's talk a little bit about like first impressions of a movie that's been talked about for a while. Like Marcus said, there were a lot of leaks. So gentlemen, thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine?
Before we do that, I'm sorry. Did you talk about how many people? I just saw this thing pop up on my feed of how many people watched the Super Bowl.
I did not. We did not. How many people did watch the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl had a viewership of one. This is from Front Office Sports, so take it for what it's worth. On Twitter, Super Bowl had a viewership of 123.4 million, the most watched Super Bowl ever. The most
Does that include?
Really?
Now I have a question. Does it include TVs at the stadium?
What?
No, it's only the Nielsen. It's only the Nielsen family.
Right, because the guy who was watching it, who tore his Achilles, he should be counted since he was there, probably watching the game from the hospital.
Fucked up.
I don't, dude.
That's so fucked up,
dude.
So fucked up. That is so fucked up,
dude. I hope, man. If you ever meet him, man, like he's gonna be pissed, and I will be like, please go right ahead. Go right ahead, sir. Do what you need to do.
That's fucked up.
To be honest, if he's showing up, I'm like, all right, let's get it over with.
Yeah, you just gotta take it. At that
I've earned this.
You gotta take it. Also, Transformers producer confirms that the G.I. Joe crossover is coming soon.
Oh,
interesting.
All right, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay, but anyway, Deadpool and Wolverine. Anything that jumped out at y'all that you're particularly excited about with this particular trailer?
Look, I want to start off basic. For anybody that listens to the podcast, our listeners know I'm a huge Succession fan. And my guy, Matthew McFadden, who is the suit at the TVA, got a solid 30 seconds in this trailer explaining everything to Wade. So I'm just hyped for him. I really like him as an actor. I am just arrested by any performance that he does. And I think he's going to be a perfect fit for the TVA.
Yeah. And he's not an unnamed. I mean, according to all the things that I've read, and if you look at him up on IMDb, he is not just some unnamed suit. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's got a car. He has a real like titled like superhero-y kind of name.
Okay. He's not listed on IMDb, but again, IMDb is user run. So, I could change tomorrow.
It's very much good.
But yeah, no, I'm just happy for my guy, Matthew McFadden.
Yeah, me too. Marcus, thoughts on the trailer?
Samuel Jackson has said he wants a Disney Plus Star Wars show.
This is not what I asked.
But are you listening? Are you listening to what I'm saying?
Great, we can talk
about it. But listen to what I'm saying. But just listen to what I said.
Answer
for the listeners. Okay, all right, I'll come back to it.
Want an answer to the question?
No, I think I liked everything in it. I like that they pretty much gave the premise for what this is exactly, right? Like they're going to come over to the MCU. They just plucked his ass. What seems like they just plucked his ass right out of the MCU. I love that whatever was canon in the post-credit scene for Deadpool 2, like all of that stuff was still there. His wife is still there. It seems like they have a kid. It seems like they had a shot of them in a school or something like that having a meeting. I don't really know, but I liked all of that. I like the suit. That's the first thing that stood
Oh,
out
the
to me.
suit is great.
It's a very Marvel MCU suit. It's spot on. It's like redder. It is Deadpoolish. And I liked, the music behind it. I liked all of the action sequences that we got with some of the gunplay that he was doing. So gave me a lot of good hopes for what to look for.
Yeah.
Doug, if I could butt in before you chime
Please.
in, I do
so
want
long as it's not about Mace Windu. As long as it's about the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer.
During Black History
it
Month.
is. It
Don't-
is.
That's fine.
is.
But if I had asked
Interesting.
about it,
So something I've been obsessed with. So listeners, I've put on an image.
Interesting.
I've put on an image from the trailer, and you have a log in the foreground. Behind that is Deadpool, and then behind that, it's like a snowy forest, and you see like an overturned vehicle. Now, I just want to put this out there, folks.
This is Avengers.
This is
It's
Avengers:
Avengers
Age of
2.
Ultron.
It is Age of Ultron.
it's
That looks very much like
Sokovia.
the forest Hydra was hiding out in.
Yeah.
That is all. I'm excited. I feel like there's a lot can happen here. That is
Yeah.
all.
Man.
Take it away, Doug.
I am also excited about this because there are people who are in this trailer that in the last Deadpool movie were actively killed.
Yep.
So the members of X-Force were dead.
Alive.
So
Yeah, they
we
were.
are we are not surprised that the TVA is showing up. Wade obviously went back and like grabbed them all before it happened and brought them to the timeline he's in. So I want to start there. There's also a couple of cameos in this that I think are worth noting.
Yes.
The old Pyro from the original Fox series is in
That's
there, which is just
amazing.
absolutely awesome. And then there's a gentleman in there that looks awfully similar to Dr. Doom. I rewatched this trailer. I paused it at that
I'll pull it
exact
up.
moment. It looks very, very close to a Doom-esque character. Maybe it's a Doom bot. Maybe it's Dr. Doom himself. I don't know. But there's something going on there that could be something. There's also a lot of hints at Secret Wars. There's an Easter egg when Wade is lying on the ground. There's an old comic book cover. It's Secret Wars there. That's what I'm currently talking about.
For our listeners, we have a side-by-side here. IGN did a quick blurb about it, and someone turned up the brightness on this image. It looks really fuzzy, but that's what happens when you turn up the brightness when you film something in a film grain. And this, I'm not going to say it's a one-to-one Doom mask, but
it's close.
You're evoking a vibe here. Now, I definitely think that this looks more of like a Doom bot or a Doom henchman, but
I could believe that.
It's got the vibes 100%.
It's given off the vibe for sure. So I'm excited about that. All in all, I think this movie for me, I'm particularly pumped about. I was really excited to see Wolverine, white suit Wolverine or Wolverine patch. So there's obviously going to be a portion of this that takes place in Madripoor, which could be exciting.
Interesting.
Patch exclusively lives in Madripoor. He was sent there by Nick Fury to be like basically undercover with all of the seedy dealings that are going on. So he's not even like Wolverine there. He's pretending to be somebody else.
Entirely. And not to like pile on here, but
there's a lot to pile on.
Well, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sharon Carter is hiding out in Madripoor.
It could make sense.
Could be something.
Yep. But anyway, I'm excited. This movie comes out in the middle of summer blockbuster season, so July 26th, 2024. I would anticipate as we get closer to May, we will more than likely get another trailer at some point in time. This is just the first one. We'll get another one here shortly. But all in all, was excited about it. They've done a lot of like promo art of like the friendship bracelets. What's her name? Ryan Reynolds' wife was wearing Blake Lively was wearing the Deadpool Wolverine.
Was she really
at the Super Bowl?
Oh, okay,
so yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
That man just has it all, huh? He's just talented.
He really does.
Handsome,
he's got a soccer
supportive,
team.
beautiful wife, soccer team.
Now, Marcus, you wanted to talk about Mace Windu. You wanted to talk about Samuel L. Jackson. Please let's pivot back because that was a parking lot, not a cut. It was a parking lot.
I don't know if I want to talk about it now.
Well, that's what's your choice.
Because that black man down there in Black History Month. That's fucked up.
I mean, nope.
Nope, no, just
Nope.
straight up.
Nope.
No, I mean, no, that's not what I did. No,
That's
I'm excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't want to talk it up too much before I move on, and I guess
that's fair.
I don't want to build up my excitement because I have this thing about getting too happy about the things that I like. I know that this is going to be good because of the people involved, and
Yeah.
if we're being honest, there has not been a bad Deadpool movie. Both of them
No.
hold up. The first is still as good as the second, and sometimes I swap between which is better. I think this is going to be good. I'm glad they brought back Hugh Jackman. There's going to be a lot of cameos in this, like X-23 is rumored to come back. Patrick Stewart is also rumored to come back. So like it's a lot of pieces. I know that this is also going to connect to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is like this is just a teaser. It's still just listed as a teaser trailer still.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie, I feel kind of bad for it only because this movie has its work cut out for itself, and the expectations are sky high. And I also feel like from a business standpoint, that Marvel has to get this right. They have the way they've set up their model, this has to be a grand slam. It can't be just a home run. This has got to be the movie of the summer. This has to be Barbie.
This is the only movie that they're releasing.
And because I feel like what we're gonna do here is this is gonna be part Deadpool, part Wolverine, part custodians of the multiverse.
Yeah.
And they're gonna go around killing shit that doesn't work. I would not be surprised if they show up in Secret Invasion and they're like, this never happened.
Yeah,
Secret Invasion still feels like the reboot, if I'm being honest.
Secret Invasion, I could go on and on about. Wow, just what a slew of decisions with.
Not Secret Invasion. I'm sorry, Secret Wars.
Oh yeah,
Secret Wars. Yeah. I mean, this. I feel like this is how you do it. This is how you get to Secret Wars. I mean, you just trap Wolverine and Deadpool there, and that's a great place to meet up in your movie.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, great point. Marcus.
Samuel Jackson said he wants a Mace Windu movie. This is Empire or a Mace Windu Disney Plus show, something like that, because he said he's still alive. So do it. So I feel like, once again, this is me asking, while the black man is still healthy and alive and he's still kicking and willing to want to be in these roles, like this is the time to do a Mace Windu series. I still have my pitch for a younger Mace Windu, looking back and telling these stories of his older self, or the older self looking back and telling these soldiers of his younger self, little hip hop mixed in there. Ryan Coogler still directing that film. Like if you got him directing a film with Michael B. Jordan with twin vampires, and apparently that's like a big hit, then like we can make this.
I mean, I want to see it, whether it's Black History Month or not. I want to see Mace Windu up there swinging his weight with his lightsaber. Like I am all for that happening. So yes,
right. That sounded like I have a black friend.
That's what I wanted it to sound like.
Black History Month, not. I love all Jedis matter.
I mean, all stories are equally important.
They'd be insufferable. They would be so. Oh my gosh, I can just see it now. Like,
they gonna be pissed when Beyonce drops her country album. You must. Oh man,
we haven't even talked. Yeah, we haven't even brought up Beyonce.
We didn't bring up Queen Bee at all.
The amount of racial slurs that are gonna come, you're gonna hear some shit that you have never heard in your life before when she take over all of the country charts,
the CMAs, as it were.
They were already mad at her once. For the CMAs.
They were mad at her once in the CMAs.
I mean, I come from the north, so I don't haven't.
Why'd you say it like that, Brian?
I mean, there are things that I still distinctly do not experience growing up in the north. So what Marcus is talking about, I wouldn't have any idea what they would say. I'd be gobsmacked.
I lived in Kentucky for a little while, so I can guess.
Whatever.
I'm not going to say it because it'd be horrible.
Well,
but
I also want to point out, it's not that Northerners are better. Northerners have this thing where they just don't talk. The silence is what they do. So they'll be like, "Oh, you see that new guy at work?" And everyone's like, "Yeah."
Oh, got it. I heard that loud and clear.
Yeah, and it's the passive aggressiveness, right? It's not overt.
He comes from such a interesting
He had a
background.
colorful
Bingo.
background.
Bingo. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
want to clarify this. Like I'm not saying the North is better.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
they
the
have
Civil War
issues.
has settled that, Brian. So
Well, I mean, well, yes. I mean, the North clearly had thoughts about this. We had a whole war about
Marcus
it.
is gonna drive to my house
It's,
and he's just gonna beat the shit out of me. I
it's,
feel
I'm
like.
just it's February 12th. I'm just marking the date.
We got at least 3 more episodes
on,
in this
y'all.
month.
Come on, y'all.
so
We gotta get
gotta-
through
We
this
should probably veer back to Beyonce.
No, Beyonce's commercial was fire. The
Oh, yeah.
Verizon commercial.
Fun.
I
With
wasn't
Tony Hale?
expecting it. With
Yeah.
Tony
I
Hale.
love Tony Hale.
And what an interesting pairing too, right? Tony Hale and Beyonce.
Mhm.
Like I thought that was good. And the way that she dropped it, like you go through all these different scenarios
Mhm.
and testing the Verizon connection, and
Yep.
she ends a commercial by saying, "Drop the music."
Yep.
And immediately I picked up my phone and said, "Oh, this
That's the
motherfucker is
very
dropping music."
First thing that he did. Yep.
Yeah. So I was putting my child to bed when this happened. So I didn't learn about any of this until I went on social media and I was like, oh, I missed it. I missed the Beyonce moment. I thought it was a concert. I thought it was like a series of concerts
Oh.
at first,
Mhm.
but then I realized it was not.
I could see how you.
I could
see how
too.
you
Yeah, I
thought
could see that. Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
she dropped one song on Spotify. I
Yeah.
forgot the name of it, and then she dropped another one called 16 Carriages.
Texas
And
Hold'em.
apparently, Texas Hold'em. Thank you. Texas Hold'em was the first song on Spotify. 16 Carriages was the other one on Tidal for a little bit, and it's a follow up to her first, her last
Right.
album, which was called Act One, and it was an all EDM party. It was like a dance album a little bit.
Yeah.
And now this one is supposedly all country, and then she'll have a part 3, which people are thinking will be all rock or something of the sort.
Huh.
That's the rumor.
Huh.
And
I'm
they
hyped about-
they
oh my
nailed
God.
it with the second was all country, because I was like,
I don't
oh,
hate
man.
that.
I
Yeah.
mean, because if you go to Lemonade, she has tracks on there that are country vibes. I have to look. It's the one about her dad or something like that.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
Blue.
remember the track at the
Yeah.
top of my head. But I remember listening to that and I was like, should Beyonce do country? And the answer is yes. Always yes. So I'm excited about it. And I'm not a big country person. I'm more of I'm more of like a Zach Bryan type country folk person.
We
But
talked about that too. Bluegrass.
We also talked about that.
yeah,
Yep.
but I feel like Beyonce can do it. Like
Mhm.
she's so talented that she could probably run laps on a few of these folks.
Yep.
Mm.
So
And if she does a rock album, I will be first in line because I feel
I'm-
like that could be because she has history again on Lemonade with Jack White, White Stripes. She
Yep.
did a
Oh
rock
yeah.
album, which was a flipping banger, by the way. So anyway, I'm getting hyped.
I love Brian.
Yeah, he gets. I like it. I
love
like it.
Brian.
I like
I
it.
mean, Lemonade is it. It is the no skip album. Like
Can I say something without
Yeah.
being judged?
Daddy Lessons. Is that the track you were thinking of, Brian?
yes.
Sorry, I wanted to look it up.
No, you're fine. So here's my thought. I'm a fan of Beyonce.
Of course.
Houston, Texas. I just don't run to listen to Beyonce. I support
No.
her in whatever she does. But if
Mhm.
you're asking me, did I listen to the album in the first maybe month it dropped? No. You know what I mean? But I do support. So when I hear this stuff, it's like when I get to it, I'll get to it. Like when I heard Lemonade
Mhm.
album, it was like months after it came out, and I was like, hey,
Yeah.
did y'all know that this was like a really good hold up? I was like, damn, this shit is fire as hell. Doug, we know you haven't listened to it. Put your hand down. Thank you. But yeah, I feel like
no, stop. Everything stop. Stop the
can't act surprised.
podcast. I'm gonna wake my kids up. I'm gonna stop them from sleeping. I'm gonna get Maggie down here. You have, sir. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pull it back here. I need to regulate my emotions. Doug Wagner, yes or no? Have you listened to Beyonce's album titled Lemonade?
At this time, I'm gonna plead the fifth to avoid that states that I cannot incriminate myself in a court of law.
Matt Murdock can't save your ass. Me and Brian are on the way to whoop your ass.
Brian,
and the
Brian.
guy from the
I'm not
49ers.
even mad. It is
I'm not even mad. I'm disappointed.
no, I'm not even disappointed. It is
Finally.
it's a foundational album, not only
Finally.
for Beyonce, but just like just the range of what an artist like what an artist can do. Like it's man, it's so hard to compare, but it's just like your Bob Dylan's, your Jimi Hendrixes who can they just start playing and it's good music.
Timeless.
It's that. Like
Beyonce
it's a modern day
artist.
that. It really is.
I will listen to it. Yes. But I also want to say,
I know I'm setting the bar way high for expectations.
No,
well,
it's
not even
good,
that,
though.
but this is part of my issue sometimes when Brian
Okay.
illustrated a point really well to me, and people fall into this, like, music is such a subjective thing.
It is.
It's such a subjective thing for some, and so when someone's like for me, for someone to say like, oh man, it is up there with Bob Dylan. For me, like, I grew up with, like, that was
Sure.
my bread and butter, and
Sure.
I listened to that shit like all the time. And
All along the
so
way,
when
we
someone
are, yes.
when someone like puts it up there, I'm like, that's a big statement. So like so what I'm saying is, it's like, I'm gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
You've set some expectations.
I mean,
Can I?
Brian, this better change my life.
But here's the thing, though. I feel like I want to throw in there a little bit as a caveat.
Yep, you got it.
yeah.
As a
You got
caveat.
it.
Nailed it.
I feel like part of loving Beyonce and that high level that Brian is putting her to is hearing her growth. Like, you have to hear how
that is part of
she grew to be able to be this transcendent,
Yeah. Transcendent.
like
Yes.
Michael Jackson. These timeless artists we're talking about. Brian is absolutely right. She is like a Bob Dylan, Michael Jackson, Prince.
Yes.
In that caliber. How people, and this is not a knock or a comparison at all. The way that people talk about Taylor Swift is what Beyonce is to me, as I recognize her as an icon. Culturally.
I agree.
Timeless, across, like, talented, can do anything. Like, her doing a country album is her doing it because she can, essentially.
Yeah,
100%.
And she's never going to do anything that isn't going to be successful. Like, I haven't heard an album being a bad album from Beyonce. Does that make sense? So it's like, he's right. But I think a part of the appreciation for her is you got to watch the documentary for Homecoming on Netflix. I think it was Homecoming. You got to see how she had the baby and then was dancing her ass off and then was struggling through all these things while she was having kids, trying to put on his best performance, and then see her do this dance and be like, God damn, you did a whole show like that. That's part of the beauty, I think, of Beyonce.
Oh, yeah.
I also think it's kind of what Taylor Swift is missing is she's talented, a really good writer. I will say that. Like, she's a good writer. It's not my type of music, but I think when you add that component in of that hustle and hard work physically with the dancing, that is something that is like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I don't even think Taylor Swift would argue that she's a better dancer than Beyonce.
No.
I think Taylor Swift would be on this podcast being like, no, I cannot.
And that's not her thing, right?
Beyonce.
We can't expect that to just be.
Well,
her
Marcus,
thing,
Marcus, you and I talked about this a little bit last night. I don't think that Taylor could wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to do a rap album and it to go perfectly.
Yeah, right. We did talk about
Beyonce could woke up and said, you know what? Country, and she's gonna crush that shit. Like
I said, she's got the range.
She's got the range. She knows. She's just so confident in knowing who she is as an artist and as a performer and as someone who puts music together.
She comes from it too, though.
And I can say that without having listened to it because that's just the status that she is at this point in time.
And I do need to slow my roll a little bit because, like, even as a kid in like 99% white Plymouth, Minnesota suburb,
very white, I
was like, have y'all listened to Destiny's Child? And everybody was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, Destiny's Child is it. Like, this is the moment. And people thought I was nuts for liking it.
God. And you know what's and it's, you know what's so funny about that, Brian? Like, that was like middle school, high school for you.
Oh, I got dragged. Yeah.
That's me, Brian. I listened to, like, it was Led Zeppelin for me nonstop. Like, this sounds like me being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian's sake. And don't get me wrong, that is my shit. I enjoy that to the nth
Mhm.
degree. It's my favorite, especially when
Mhm.
Marcus is mad about it. But in all honesty, pop music was never something that like I got into. Like it wasn't the sound I gravitated toward. And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of this stuff has been fun as an adult to go back now that I have different musical tastes
Hmm.
to go
For
back and
sure.
discover it, to
That's
be like,
good.
holy shit, this is really good. And like I
Man.
remember, like there are times like I've like run up to Marcus when I was like in the muck and I was like, have you heard this song? He was like, Doug, yes. Like and he's so nice, he doesn't do that. He
Man.
should, but he doesn't. And he'll be like, oh yeah, that song? Yeah, I love that song. And I'm like, yeah, I heard it for the first
I
time today.
kinda
It was really
wanna
good.
Go ahead, Marcus.
To me, that's sorry. No, go ahead, Brian.
Doug, I wanna make you a playlist of, like, pop bangers,
Mhm.
because like, right now, immediately to mind is, like, the Drive Me Crazy Britney Stop remix, which
Mm,
is, like
yeah,
a
that'd be
lot of
fun.
people have other songs of hers that are, like, number 1, but, like, that song, it speaks to me, and it's also, like, very impressively like, it's impressive in a lyrical, stylistic, and she sings well on the record, you know? So, anyway, I'll make you a playlist.
I think
should,
that's fun.
you know what I should do? We should trade playlists.
Oh, I
Like,
like it.
you know, it'd be really fun to do like what was your high school playlist? Like, what were the songs that were just like on repeat for you? Like, and
Yeah.
I can give you mine, you can give me yours, and we can compare notes. And then Marcus can give us his, but those were like songs that were on repeat for us in college.
Man, I know, and that's so. It's,
Yeah.
but you know, it's
Yeah.
funny that time of the year for me. A lot of my shit was on SoundCloud at that time in high school. Like I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
vividly being at the bus stop waiting for the bus. It's cold, you know. It's like back when your
Yeah,
parents
yeah,
used to
yeah.
actually like make you ride the bus. You got to wait for it.
Yep. Oh,
And
yeah.
having the gummy headphones from Walmart in my ear. And
Wow.
I remember listening to all of these freestyles that were on YouTube that you downloaded to put on your little MP3 player. And a lot of my stuff came from SoundCloud. I grew up in the prime time Lil Wayne era. Like, don't get
You
it fucked up.
you were like mixtape Lil Wayne
Yeah,
era.
I was like the Carter 3. So
Yep.
it's always funny because when I tell that story, is like I didn't start listening, I wasn't allowed to or didn't start listening to hip-hop music until I got to high school or 8th grade. Because it was like, oh, we're in church and you're not supposed to do that. And then all of a sudden my mom was like, it's about moderation. So just like figure it out. And so because at the time I hated Jay-Z. I thought Jay-Z was over fucking rated when I was in high school.
Yeah, Brian.
Absolutely refused to listen to Jay-Z until I listened to, ironically, it was Blueprint 3, which is not his best project, not his best blueprint, but it was the one that gave me introduction to be like, oh, I was tripping big time. Big time. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian. Yeah, Brian. Yeah. Yeah.
Brian is flabbergasted by
But now you can't tell me shit about Jay. You cannot tell me shit about Jay-Z.
He's so instrumental in the modern day of
all of it.
hip hop and rap. Like not only rap, but like just the scene in hip hop. That surprises me. I'm very glad you like his music.
I mean, the first rapper that I liked was it was Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is the guy I craft my music after. It is like that whole Marcus J and the J stands for. I did that a lot when I was like first coming up. I got that from Wayne. Weezy F Baby and the F is for phenomenal. And the F is for whatever. And the F, like I got that from Wayne. And it wasn't until some of these people you have to grow into, which is why I don't give Doug a hard time about not knowing certain artists, because culturally, a lot of that shit sticks differently for me in the moments in time we were at culturally. I remember when I first heard Drake's Comeback Season, I'm listening to that mixtape on the bus. And I like, have y'all heard of this dude named Drake? And then like a month later, his song is like every girl, I want to fuck every girl in the world is on the radio.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I don't know. I just love music though. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm excited for the Beyonce album.
I'm excited to see where she goes with it.
Yeah, that was a rabbit hole. I didn't mean to go down there, but
I'm glad we did though. It was a great discussion. I do want to spend just a smidgen bit of time talking about Percy Jackson and the
let's do it.
So all of those, all 7,
eight episodes.
All 8 episodes of that are on Disney Plus, so you can go and watch them right now. This is a little bit of a spoiler alert because we're going to talk a little bit about the finale, but we're also going to talk about bits of the show. This story. Do we want to do a barbershop summary? We could just do like a quick little. I mean, it doesn't
No,
need to.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No.
I'll give you a quick synopsis. I mean, this is the Percy Jackson that, like, remember the movie that came out like back when I was like, I don't know, like 2008, 2009. This is that same sort of storyline. Kid discovers that there are real Greek gods and goddesses. They have kids here on Earth called demigods, and he discovers what it is to be, a son of Poseidon. And so they split it up into 9 different episodes on Disney Plus. I really enjoyed this show. Like, I thought it was very, very good. The first 2 were a little slow. Like looking back on like where we're at, like they were a little bit of a slog to get into at first, but man, once they really start getting into once the Edge shows up, I was like, okay, all right. Once Edge shows up, I'm like, all right, so we've got a god of war here. And so I think it was well done and I enjoyed it. But gentlemen, thoughts on either the finale or the series itself overall?
Okay. I understand why the first 2 were so slow. That's why they dropped them both at the same time.
Yep.
I think I enjoyed this series. I really like the leads in it. They didn't get on my nerves because it's easy for kids to get on your nerves. But I enjoyed that a lot. And I wanted more. It's one of those situations where, like, I know that they just got renewed for a season 2, but I did want a little bit more. Like, the finale felt a little bit lackluster, a little bit, if I could say that. I don't know, but yeah.
So Walter Scoble plays Percy Jackson. Leah Jeffries plays Annabeth Chase. Orion Simadri plays Grover Underwood. Virginia Cull plays Sally Jackson. And then they've got some other folks in here that are like really. Megan Mullaley's in this. She plays Electo.
She is. You can't tell it's her. Like
she's a whole different vibe.
Makeup department should be nominated. Like I couldn't tell.
Jason Mantzoukas is Dionysus, which I thought was a great casting. I love Zook.
Excellent casting.
Love to see him there. And then Adam Edge Copeland plays Ares, the god of war. But really, like, the
casting.
highlight, what is that man's name who played Zeus? Give me a minute.
Lance Reddick.
Yeah, Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick,
rest in peace.
Lance Reddick, rest in peace. Is incredible. Like, he played Zeus in this. And I really, really, really just loved. I loved that. Like, I thought he did a good Zeus. I will miss the moments where he is an actor and in the roles that he was in are able to do such masterful work with these, like, get the fuck out of my face moments. Because he says them in such a way. He delivered those lines in such a way where it was like, when someone's like really mad and they talk like really quiet, and like, I need you to knock that shit off, or I am going to come over there. Like that level of like ominous speaking, like that, he did that so well. And even in this, when he was like, to escape with your life is good enough. Like, you're like, Percy, get the fuck out of, like, walk away, little boy.
Like, this is not a dude to mess with. What
are you doing, little boy?
Yeah.
I thought, it's good. And I agree with everything with Lance Reddick. And it's not just because he passed. He's always like that.
He's
always the way that you deliver
everywhere.
through your body language, the way you deliver your lines vocally, it all matters, right? I want to see what they do with this the next time. There's a lot of, here's my issue with it. And it's probably something very minute that only just affected Marcus. The tone of the show didn't match the severity of the situations that were happening at times.
I could see that.
Percy is getting turned into gold in this chair. And they are bringing the emotion. It just feels like the tone of the show either rushes these moments or it's very lighthearted about some, like the betrayal of, spoiler alert also, but like the betrayal of Percy by his best friend Luke. Like, that felt like it should have been more, I don't know, dramatic, drawn out a little bit. Like, they don't live in these moments too long for me, I guess.
It's very aware that they're dealing with heavy topics, but their primary audience is children.
Yes.
So this is, from a writing perspective, it's like, how deep do you go? How much do you back off?
Yeah, good point.
This is, you're aiming this at probably like 7 to 10-year-olds, right? Or like maybe teenagers, maybe. And so I think the reason for that, Marcus, is like this kind of nod and wink of like Percy almost got killed falling to his death, but he's okay. Let's move on.
Oh my god, his
like
mom is in Greek hell, you guys.
Yeah.
Like that is
Yeah.
it's
so
kind of wacky.
and I watched this with my 7-year-old and
Mhm.
he loved every minute of it, but he did get scared at parts.
Oh, got it. Mhm.
Okay.
So
Would
at that point, right, it's like, okay, so like you're making this for kids, but it's he's on the younger end, but he's still getting scared, and it's kind of putting like a wrench in the works. So like you don't go less scary though, because it's already I feel like it's already at the level it needs to be.
It pushes the envelopes pretty well.
Especially the Medusa stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, the Medusa
That was
actually
Medusa was well done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that actress was from The Flash.
She was.
Congrats to her.
And
I'm glad to see her working.
And I will say, like, that's where I started to like really fall in love with the show, was when they started to do that Medusa stuff, and she's starting to say like, it was your father that did this to me, because then I'm remembering like all of the like Greek mythology in the back end, where I'm like, oh yeah, he most definitely did. Like,
and like this show excels so well in being like a post myth kind of landscape. We don't have to relive all those stories. We don't need to do.
We know them. Yeah.
Other franchises could take a hint, like Medusa saying the one line: "You either got it or you don't." There's a snake lady in the house. You gotta watch out, right? So I agree with you, Marcus.
I love Brian.
There's a snake lady in the house.
I mean, watch out.
There's a snake lady in there.
You don't know Greek myth? That's okay. Snake lady.
Yeah.
But like I agree with you, Marcus. It didn't know the right balance, and I'm not saying I know the right balance.
I don't either.
Because like Liam was super into some parts, like let me find it. Not the Demigorgon. That is not in this show. The Chimera. When the Chimera showed up, he was all about that. He couldn't get enough. He wanted to rewatch it immediately. Loved seeing the monsters. So I don't know what the right balance is.
I don't either. And that's a good point. And I think it's a reminder that it brings up the question that we always got to ask: who is this for? Right?
Yeah.
Great question.
Like people who review the show are going to be our age, around our age, or kind of around the same demographic. But is this show to introduce Percy Jackson to Liam's and Harrison's and Harper's? You know what I mean? And like, if that's the case, Marcus, there's shows for Marcus to watch that will address those topics and have that tone specifically. Yeah. And maybe this isn't that show, and it's not for me to critique that, and that's fine with me. That's okay.
I think at the same time, though, I think it's hard to decide what direction to go to, because The Lightning Thief was published in 2005. So, like, Marcus, to your point, people that grew up reading these books, it's been 20 years. So if you're doing something like this, you're gonna want to appeal to the people who saw the movies or read the books 20 years ago.
At least a little bit.
Brian, have you read the books?
I have.
How did you find that? I mean, obviously the movie adaptation is a little gobbledygook, but like but this one, did you find that it was pretty close? Or I mean, obviously it's never going to be spot on. It shouldn't be, but like, did you find that it was at least true to the source material for the most part?
It was definitely true to the spirit. It was not one-to-one, and that's okay, because in the book format, you're getting a lot more internal dialogue from Percy.
Oh, sure, that makes sense.
And one of the things that drew me to this is because Percy thinks he is dyslexic at the beginning of the story, and when someone told me that, I was like, I'm all in. And then they find out it's like, no, you read Greek letters weird. You're not dyslexic. And I was like, well, that's kind of a bummer, but still okay. He's dyslexic, and that I can see myself in there, and that's helpful. I'll go to one of the other white hetero heroes I see in my.
Well, Brian, that's interesting, because I took that as.
I mean, I'm being serious. Like, is it as
no.
person? It's like
there's another one.
And also, like, I gotta check myself. Like, I have media.
Hold on, let me go into the big chest where I had to keep all of the other ones that are just for me.
White hetero hero is hilarious.
White hetero hero.
That's the AKA for this episode.
That is the AKA for this episode. White hetero hero.
That's the new Power Rangers.
That's
the new theme song.
Hold on, everybody.
That's Zordon's theme song. Don't put that in the chat GPT. Put
It's
that
a
in the phone
light
down.
in the distance. White-headed rose
Brian's
unite.
Brian's pushing it hard.
I'm not gonna.
White Hetero Unite is hilarious. That's the January 6th theme song when they went to go storm the Capitol.
Oh no, I just made it for them, didn't I?
Yeah. They're gonna make it a rock song and Trump's gonna walk out. I feel like I agree with everything Brian just said, and you know, I view the dyslexia and reading Greek in a different way of like, to me, and that's very interesting that you said that. I read it as like he was still special. He is what the world would consider dyslexic, but it's not.
Right.
There's more to it than what the world could understand.
Yes,
but it's also
100%.
interesting. Maybe we're saying the same thing, but I read that and was like, that's really cool. I like the fact that hey, I do have this thing that would most consider would count me out, but this actually makes me above the rest in a different capacity.
Mm-hmm. Well, and being like neurodivergent, like I do want to say, I do want to go back. Like I do think it is a good thing to just have someone that shows like school isn't for me. I don't show up that way because that was me to a T. I did not show up well in that environment. And the idea that like, no, you understand the world differently. And like once you get out of here, it's gonna make way more sense to you. And like that part that resonates with my heart and soul. Like
I agree.
And to that point, what I thought was really outstanding was I thought that the mom, Percy Jackson's mom, did an outstanding job, especially when he's younger. And she's like, this isn't working for you. We need to find something that works for you. And the level of like desperation and exasperation to give her child like a better life was so well executed in this. And so tip of the hat, like that was well done.
She hit a wall. That's the other
Yes.
thing. I have my favorite scene from the finale or second to finale was her being in the car and saying like, it's a matter of how difficult you want to make this. Like this is gonna happen. It's a matter of how difficult you want to make this. I'm hitting a wall. I have nothing else to offer you. I don't have any other options. Percy's dad shows up and he tells him I'm going to be there for him whenever he calls me. When she asks, do you want to see him? I loved all of that emotional build up to that moment of him seeing his dad for the first time. They didn't bask in that, oh, I hate my dad, I don't want anything to do with you too long. Now I did like that. They don't stay in those tropes too long. And I like it.
Yeah, me too.
No, and I think it is kind of like a bob and weave here of
for sure.
It is, and I think we said this in the chat, but it is refreshing to see a character that's just like, nah, like my dad can go to hell. End of story, and I'm moving on with my life. Like Star Wars couldn't do that. Marvel, how many Marvel films do we have about? But it's my dad. Like, and here comes.
I mean,
Percy
that's a majority of Civil War, and for a majority of Tony's life, he didn't think his dad liked him, and then he turns this corner in Civil War. So
so like you know, it's just refreshing to see a kid sort his stuff out and go on his way. It is refreshing, and I that's one of the reasons I hype this show.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, I did too. ChatGPT did not want to write me that.
Oh, thank God.
It's a hetero, and it was like, no.
That's exactly what it said. It said, I have to adhere to certain ethical standards. Writing something that promotes racial superiority violates my ethical standards. Would you like me? Would you like me to? Would you like me to write you a song about diversity Power Rangers? And I said, I've seen it before, but show me what you got.
I've done that before, ChatGPT.
I've done that live on a podcast.
How the hell does the AI have more moral ground than a half of human beings?
Seriously,
it's a really good question.
Jesus Christ.
I do enjoy that ChatGPT was like, all right, let's see what this request is. I'll make your little ditty about white people. No, sir. You need to take your business elsewhere.
You need to
go see my cousin Chat CRT.
Yeah, that's where you gotta go.
It
did that.
It
did that for me last night. I tried to write a country song about.
Tell him.
Don't.
My wife encouraged me to write a country song about freedom, racism,
and blue jeans.
And blue jeans.
It was just freedom and blue jeans at first, and then Doug tried to get the chat to write.
There it is.
Freedom, blue jeans, and racism, and the chat said no.
The chat said, no. You go to Chat GPT. Where are you gonna go now?
Yeah, can't go. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, guys. I'm lost. For creating things that I would never in a million years say myself.
Oh, I will make a theme song myself.
But we'll giggle when a robot says it.
White hetero rangers. Go ahead.
Anything else we need to cover about Percy Jackson and the Olympics?
What? Come on, brother. You pushing the envelope here. It's still Black History Month.
One thing I do want to cover about Percy Jackson. Genuine question for both of you. Did you realize that the volume technology was being used in this show?
The what?
The volume.
The stuff they use for Mandalorian.
Oh no, I did not.
No
it
idea.
Was?
Half of the shots in this show are from volume. I have to double check that stat, but at least a significant part. A significant
and when you say
part
volume, like the big dome, right, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay. You knew that from watching it, or you knew that?
No, I had to read a whole piece.
Interesting.
I'm gonna try to find the.
We'll put it in the episode description too. That's
fine. Collider. Okay. So Collider talks about this, and one of the things. And I feel like this is really important. Is that the reason the volume works and it doesn't feel like the Obi-Wan Kenobi, or it doesn't feel like the Ahsoka episode of Mandalorian, is because they really tried to ground it in. Part of it was earth tones, but also the entire philosophy was like, no, these aren't larger than life people. These are people that live on earth, and they happen to be Greek gods. Like that was kind of the philosophy with the creative department. And that was what lent it really well to this story. And you couldn't really tell.
No, that's pretty good.
The only one, if there was one that you could tell, it would be the one where they have to go get Ares' shield. Because when they're talking to him out on the road, that would be the only one where I feel like you would run into it.
Yep. Yeah. So,
but you're right.
The museum was volume. That entire thing was volume. Yep.
Wow.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed it.
Now they may have done some establishing shots, but they're quoted as saying they did most of the filming in volume for that.
I wonder how much money they saved with that.
I mean, well, you think about it, like you don't have to reserve locations. You don't have to shut down the Met for a week. Like you know.
And think about it, like, okay, you booked this big museum that has these big windows thinking you're going to get this natural light. The week you show up to shoot, it rains and the natural light's gone. Like you don't have to control for those forces anymore. You can control them yourself, which is
exactly.
I get it. That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, if you can do it right, I think you should use it with this type of philosophy. I do feel like Star Wars and Marvel have leaned on it a bit too much. I think you see it in Ragnarok and Quantumania and Kenobi a little bit. But I feel like this is a really good example, case in point of like, no, this technology is good if you have a philosophy with it and you also know how to use it. And it's still relatively new. I feel like I should give, those other shows I mentioned a break, but I mean, it's impressive.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like that. That's good, Brian.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great stat,
I'll
Brian.
link that. I'll make sure we get that link in the description.
I had no idea. That's really good,
Brian.
Right?
When you say volume, is volume the name of the company that created it?
Volume is the name of the device.
Got it. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yep,
that's what I wanted to know.
Because
I wasn't sure. You said volume, and I was like, "There's something wrong with the audio." I was like, "I don't."
Which has happened before, right? Which is like, we've seen shows have that kind of issue, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they just call it the volume visual effects. So volume for short.
There is one last, you guys, sorry. I just remembered that there was one last thing I really wanted to talk about.
Turn down.
And I need Christopher Nolan to shut the fuck up.
Oh no, don't do that.
What?
No, I need
we need him on the pod.
I don't give a Christopher Nolan said that he did an interview and he was talking about Tenet. And he was like, and all he said, I have to look up the exact quote. I'll save this for another time because I don't want to open up a new theory in my conclusion. But like, he essentially was like, yeah, you guys, it was experimental. Like you shouldn't have tried to look too far into it. I was like, motherfucker, you shot that shit forwards and backwards. And and you're lecturing me not to take it
Okay.
too seriously.
All right, can I say something?
Yeah.
Do it.
I'm enjoying this Christopher Nolan. I'm a little bit opposite of Doug. I'm enjoying this Christopher Nolan is not who I thought he was. He's not this movie snob run that he's been on lately. For him to say like, yeah, the Fast and the Furious franchise is like my favorite
He
franchise.
did say it's his favorite.
Like, and he's not ashamed of it. Like, he's been saying things like this. He does the little fun Oppenheimer
Yep.
videos and stuff like that with the late night TV show host. I feel like I've been enjoying that he's not the guy that I thought he was, and it turns out James Cameron is exactly who I thought he was.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Like, it's a weird comparison, but that's how I've been viewing it. But
he is who we thought he was.
yeah,
Yes. In a recent episode of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, this talk show mentioned Tenet's most common criticism being hard to understand. For his part, Nolan argued, quote, "You're not meant to understand everything in the movie. It's not at all comprehensible," he admitted. "It's a bit like asking if I know what happens to the spinning top at the end of Inception. You shot it forwards and backwards. What was the point? Like, what was the point? Like, what were you doing that for? You spent $800 million at the height of a pandemic and then got mad when we all went, we can't hear it or understand it, Christopher Nolan. And now 2 years later, you're like, hey, guess what? You weren't supposed to. Fuck you, man."
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
I kind of want to push back a little bit.
Go ahead, Marcus.
I feel like
let's see what this is.
mine is a little bit quicker, but I
No,
feel like we complain all the time for you to trust your audience and you want us to have the room to watch something to not understand. Now, I think his biggest fuck up was getting mad at people that didn't understand his movie.
Yes,
when he
agreed.
knew
Yeah.
it wasn't comprehensible from
Agreed.
the beginning. That's his fuck up.
right.
If he would have just remained quiet and said, hey, catch 22 is nobody was really supposed to understand the full thing. It's not meant to be understood. Then I would have felt like, oh, got it. Then I don't feel like such an idiot. When you get mad at me for not understanding and then take a shot at the movies that I do like, that's the part that's fucked up.
Well, and not even like taking a shot at the movies that I do like.
Or the intelligence of the watchers of the, you know what I mean?
Remember, he was so insistent that it had to be in a theater.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not meant to be comprehended,
Yeah.
then where does it matter where I watch it?
And it turned out Tom Cruise ended up bringing people back to the theater with fucking
Right? Like, I guess that's where I guess that's what I have playing in the back of my head. You're right. You're right.
I feel you.
It's fine. It's fine.
Here's my thing. I think that Christopher Nolan adopted this persona of like you can only go see this movie and understand it in theaters as the push to get people back in theaters. I'm seeing that I don't think he even 100% agreed with it, but he knew there was so much writing on it.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot writing on it. And I think it was a lot easier for him to do everything he did because guess what? Every time he said that stuff, people complained, including us, but he got more press coverage for it, right?
That's true.
And
the Donald Trump approach to press coverage.
Well,
if I say something outlandish and crazy,
all
publicity, more people will talk about how outlandish and crazy it is.
Well, and it's this paradox, right? Of just well, that's bad. Okay, well, I want to see why you're saying this, right? Like that's eventually the thought that goes through your head. I did not see it in a theater. I was not able to have that opportunity at that point in 2020, 2021. It all blends together. Anyway, 21. And here's my other thing. It's okay to make art that isn't going to be comprehended. Like that's cool. Like make art that maybe you only
Can you
comprehend.
do a little rich flex for me?
We all did something. I just want to let y'all know that we all
had a
did
bit.
something.
We all had a simultaneous.
We all had a bit, and it revolved around the same thing. And so I just
That was a magic moment. That was a magic moment.
That's probably the clip for the week. So
that's
anyway.
That's great.
I just want to look. The thing I want to say is you can make your movie as confusing as you want it to be. Fine, whatever. It's your movie. Great. But don't then expect people to like it. Don't expect people to give you kudos. Don't expect people to think, oh, I didn't get it. There's so much meaning. Like, no, just Just say like, yeah, I made a cool movie. I made a cool movie. I thought it was cool. I don't care if you thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. Like if I made a movie and I just put in dragons and machine guns and like chocolate fountains and whatever, and
I
released
already
it,
want to see that movie, Brian. You said dragons and machine guns, and I was like, sign me the fuck up.
Isn't that the plot to Rebel Moon?
it's a little bit, except for the chocolate fountain.
And
You know,
Brian would name his characters from the beginning, so you'd know who
I
everybody was.
would. There's lore with the sun, and there's a sun sword, and there's 7 bits of sword that you have to get. Anyway, my point being, I'm not gonna go around and advertise this movie being like, you didn't get it. Guess you're not smart enough. No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go around and advertise this movie with like, yeah, I just really went for it and I loved making it. Like, just own it, man. Anyway, I didn't think I was gonna have a bombastic Brian
love it.
segment, but
I
here we
love
are.
it.
Well-
Here's my question to y'all, but it's not for now. I want to save it for the next pod. My question for y'all is this: do we think that the world or audiences, and I'm not thinking about the real movie lovers, I'm talking the general audience of who we
Yeah.
make movies for. The general audience still has an appreciation, a need, or a want for movies that make you think or are open-ended. I think that's my question for next week.
Marcus.
We'll
I
leave
feel,
it.
I feel like that's the issue, but I want us to ponder that and come back to it next
I
pod.
will
Yeah,
reflect.
we will leave it. We'll leave it there.
I
Brian,
got
the
my
name.
knee-jerk.
Brian, the name of your movie is the 7 Shards of Ethereum, and it's
I love
a
it.
planet somewhere where you have to gather all the shards of the short
Did you just
sword.
what the fuck?
I made
Good.
that up on the
Yes.
spot. Brian, we should talk about writing.
Yeah, let's get together.
Let me get this going.
What the fuck
Get
was
our
that?
I just
All right,
we
that
were
was good. That was
Brian and
good.
I were having a
Y'all were in a
mind
bag,
meld.
yeah.
We had a mind
I was
meld.
over here 21.
2021.
The Machine Gun Dragons, by
Can
the
you
way,
do it?
that's
Can
the
you do something for
merchandise,
me?
and we get the rights for that right away. We go George Lucas
Right
on that.
away.
We get
Oh,
the
yeah.
rights for that
Mhm.
right away.
Are the
and then
machine
everything
gun
else.
dragons somebody riding the dragon shooting the machine guns, or do the dragons have machine guns?
No, so
someone's
like,
writing them.
I mean, someone is writing them, but they grow with them.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, so like it's kind of messed up. It's kind of Warhammer. It's kind of not.
And really quick, and they're called royal riders, like they're picked from birth, and they can only be princes, and they're picked at like age 6 to
I was
learn how
gonna
to
go
write.
princesses, but this is fine.
Also fine.
Okay.
Also fine. You know
Also-
what, Brian? The main protagonist can be a princess in a world of princes.
Great.
I was thinking it was some type of a dragon that at the beginning wasn't born with a machine gun. He doesn't have a machine gun. Turns
That's
out he
his-
has
Oh,
like
well, that's the kids version.
Oh,
That
my
is
bad.
then
I-
we
I
do
tried-
a book
I tried to-
series.
I tried to hop in and I fucked it up. Sorry, I should
No,
have
no,
let
no,
y'all
oh my
just
gosh,
do it.
I'm never gonna make this movie.
I don't
Shouldn't
know
me.
about you.
You shouldn't me.
I've
We know people
called-
listen to this podcast. I just want you to know that.
I've called everybody. Like I've
James
called
Gunn,
everybody.
out
we
the bad
know you like our
James
Instagram.
Gunn.
I know you love machine guns and
I'm just
dragons.
saying, like, if we get a pitch meeting,
The
me
7
and my
Shards
guys
of
blow
Ethereum.
you away.
7 Shards of Ethereum.
The three of
with,
us
with a
blow you away.
soundtrack exclusively made by 21 Savage. 20.
No, he's featured. He's featured. Everyone else sings, but he's
Can
featured.
he just
on every
produce?
song.
Can he just produce the project?
That's
Can
fine.
he use the soundtrack?
That's
Yeah,
fine with me. That's fine with
That's
me.
fine. I love it.
Gentlemen, anything that you all have to plug this week?
I'm playing music.
Hey, folks, if you like machine guns and dragons, you should go check out my wife's decoration shop on Etsy.com. That's go to Etsy.com and all one word, color me confetti. We'll have a link in the episode description. You can go print out your own party supplies. You don't got to drive anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to Amazon. You just download the file and you print it. Done.
Love that.
Beautiful.
Marcus, what do you got to plug this week?
I just want to make sure you follow the mantra: never offended, always humble. NOAH. Go stream yourself some Soul Tie, SOULTYE. Go stream yourself some Marcus J. Destin. New music is on the way. We're working on our project right now, Love and War. Go buy yourself some merch, but whatever you do in your everyday life, make sure that you are following the mantra: never offended, always humble. Humble enough to be able to continue to grow and not too offended that you can't take the criticism to be better. But that's the mantra, baby.
Absolutely. I got 2 things to plug. First, happy Black History Month, everybody. I've been on my bullshit today, and I feel like I needed to say that.
Black people, we love you.
I love
Black
It's
History
all
Month.
I
joke.
love all black
Happy
people.
Black History Month.
Uh,
Don't say it like that.
I
Just-
said it
just
like
keep
that.
going.
I can't even do it seriously. This week, I have to plug this episode. So
Of
if you
all
enjoyed
black
this talk, If you enjoyed this episode of Films in Black and White, tell a friend or a family member about the episode. That is a great way for us to gain some traction. Also, if you're feeling generous, head over to patreon.com/films in black and white. Sign up for one of our tiers there. We might be playing some D&D as a group. We got a Patty Family Picks movie coming up that we got as a group. So we got some big stuff coming. So that is what we have. Brian, we have a 3-step process to success. Lay them out with that first step.
Hey, folks, I'm here to tell you to read a book. Any book. Because it's Black History Month, I'm going to recommend a book to you. It's called Superman Smashes the Klan. I got mine at the library. You can probably get yours at the library. Do you want to see Superman punching some hooded figures and talking about equality? Read that book.
Doug, don't start with your shit.
What
I want to, because I feel like you about to say something about Superman losing to Godzilla in that comic you bought, and I don't want to.
I wasn't gonna.
I don't want to see that.
I was
my
gonna
bad.
move on to
I'm sorry.
Marcus. Do you want to give us a second step?
I do. Drink some water. I bought myself some Fiji last night. Oh, by the way, Doug made. I went over to Doug's house for the Super Bowl, our little Super Bowl family party, and they made homemade pizza. Really delicious pizza. Really delicious cookies made by Brittany Wagner. I dropped those 2 fucking slices of pizza as soon as I got home. Do you know that? On the stairs.
You dropped them?
The two that I bought with me.
I have more at my house if you would like a refill.
dropped them.
Get this man some
I
pizza.
was so heartbroken. I was like, that pizza was fucking delicious. But you know what went well with the pizza? The Fiji water I drank when I got in the car. So drink some water. Treat yourself to something nice. Don't just drink out the spigot all the time. Get yourself something nice. Treat your body to it. It deserves it. Drink some water.
Absolutely. Step 3 is Godzilla beats Superman.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Oh, wow.
You motherfucker.
Anyway, no, it's not. It's not.
Wow.
Step 3 is,
That's
look,
not-
y'all, wash your ass. Look, Valentine's Day is on Wednesday. And so whether you are single or whether you are with a special someone, it's important that you wash your ass because stank don't discriminate, and it will find you either way, and you don't want to be dating a stanky ass even if it's just yourself. So
That's
make
true.
sure that you take care of it. That does it for this week's episode of Films in Black and White. We'll be back next week with another outstanding episode, but in the
Doug.
meantime and in the
Doug,
between
we
time,
need to tell them.
what are we
need to
watching
tell
next
them.
week, Brian? Tell them what
Folks,
we're watching.
we will be your #1 destination and spoiler zone for Madam Web. That's right.
Oh,
You
boy,
heard it. All
howdy.
3 of us will go see Madam Web. If you
Ooh.
if you are here on the live stream, this is a great reason to join Patreon. We got a fancy graphic for calendar. So yeah, we did our Super Bowl recap today. Next week, Madam Web. The week after that, we got our news episode,
Wrong
a
date.
Oscars
That's right.
prediction, and we are very excited to announce that on March 6th, we are welcoming back writer Stephanie Williams. And we'll be talking about the movie Underwater. We'll also be talking about all the stuff that she's doing, all the great stuff that she's been doing. But Stephanie Williams will be returning March 6th.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's what we got coming up. So when I say we have an outstanding episode, we most certainly do. We'll see if this one breaks Brian. Sony's broken Brian a couple of times.
No,
We'll see
this
if
is
this
no
one breaks
way.
Brian.
I like half the people in this movie, so I will be all right.
It doesn't feel that way about Jared Leto.
That's true.
I do not.
That's true.
But in the meantime and in the between time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all next week.
Give me some runoff and post.
I'll give you some runoff.
Run off.
Run it off.
Run it.
Off.
21.
Bloop, bloop.
That's crazy, man.
It's a little fucked up.